Siege, the finals, and why it's okay to be a casual?
YouTube seems set on suggesting to me videos about how video games aren't fun anymore, or why I'm not enjoying games, and they generally have an interesting philosophical angle to them, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I think the answer as to why I don't find games fun anymore is simple. I've gotten older. My time feels more valuable than ever. I'm officially the...
I don't know, man, like, I'm in my early 20s, like, I don't know, and I work. Like, it's not really that, it's just, like, a lot of games, they just like hyper-focusing on the competitive scene for no reason. They don't like making them fun anymore. At least the really popular games.
Quintessential casual player for the most part, particularly games that I once would have loved to play in an exclusively competitive capacity.
Like Counter-Strike 2, Rainbow.
The casual. With that in mind, I want to share my thoughts on why I enjoy the finals so much, even with that mindset, and how to maximize your enjoyment if you find yourself.
This game is so good.
Let's start somewhere else though. In 2015, Ubisoft released a game called Rainbow Six Siege, a tactical 5v5 multiplayer game with attackers, defenders, gadgets, and destruction. At the time of its release, it was regarded as competent, interesting, but ultimately lacking in content and unlikely to have staying power. Almost 10 years later, and the game is still hovering around 70 to 80,000 peak concurrent players on any given day according to Steam. It's gone through several iterations afforded to it by the live service model. Some updates being better than others, but ultimately all of them extending the life of a game that would otherwise have been forgotten to time in any prior era. You know what
really kept Siege going? Siege almost died, and then Jinxie came in and revived this game. I'm gonna be real. Like, that dude carried Siege on his back. Like, Ubisoft freaking sold.
Very much a success story at a time when the words live service are seen by many as a negative. What separated Siege from Call of Duty?
I don't know why.
Their Twitch shooting.
I think it's just because live service, like the way companies do live service, they just do it in the most like horrible way, because a lot of times they just want to milk you and milk your brain for all that what is it called, missing out. I forget, there's a word, FOMO, there you go, FOMO. Like, they just want to milk you for your money and FOMO. It's so annoying.
Metal weapons, or the Counter-Strikes of the world with their rigid, predictable maps and weapon sprays, was its depth and its variety. Launching with 11 operators, each with a unique ability, an additional gadget, and 1 to 3 primary weapons. It was designed to have a level of unpredictability from the get-go. Coupled with the destruction on offer, no match would play exactly like another. You'd be surprised to die from a murder hole on the other side of the map where a bullet would pass.
Bro's just him.
4 other walls to reach you, or perhaps a sneaky nitro charge planted on the floor below you was detonated once your opponent spotted you on one of the cameras. Death rarely felt unfair. If anything, it offered a chance to learn and expand your skill set. It didn't feel like a failing, just a gap in knowledge that was now filled and would benefit you later on. After 9 years and almost 2,000 hours, I don't play Siege much anymore. I might load it up once every now and then to check out what changes have occurred, but to me the game became a bit too sterile. Some of that unpredictability was stripped away in the map reworks that prioritized competitiveness over fun, and the game became too bloated as the developers strived to hit a roster of 100 operators. However, in December of 2023, Embark Studios released a game that ticked many of those boxes that made Siege so special.
The finals.
I want to explain from the perspective of someone who plays casually why I love this game.
Bro has like almost 1,000, like, and they almost have 1,500 hours in Rainbow Six Siege, but you only have 139 hours in the finals. Like, what the fuck?
The finals is a free-to-play game built by ex-Battlefield developers that evokes much of the fun
That's crazy.
In Siege. Much like Siege, it's
the destruction in this game is so fun.
With abilities, gadgets, and most importantly, destruction.
Yeah, it's a 3v3, not a 5v5.
In Siege, a single bullet can end your time in a round if it's placed well enough, but in the finals you can tank an entire magazine's worth of damage before going down. The difference in the time to kill is significant. The lateral thinking that the game rewards is exactly like Siege. A well-coordinated team in the power shift mode, for example, can dominate by having a heavy reinforce the objective with barricades, a dome shield, and a mesh shield, while a medium player revives, heals, or places turrets. Lights can orbit around the objective and try to interfere with any enemies attempting to push. This mimics the attack-defend round structure of Siege, but in a more dynamic way, where the teams swap roles on the fly. It's the same story in the quick cache game mode, where as a team steals a cache box from another, the roles become reversed and the usage of gadgets and abilities takes on a new context. An explosive mine might be paired with a blast from a grenade launcher to push enemies off the objective, and once taken, those same mines now become defensive weapons that deter enemies from rushing. Another similarity
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest. Like, if like a really good Siege player like Jinxie or someone who like really focuses on the gadgets and not gunplay, like even if like obviously if you had good gunplay, you could be good at this game too. But I'm just saying, like someone who's really good with gadgets and Siege went to the finals, like it would be a seamless like transition. You would even have more freedom than you would in Siege. Like it's just like if you know how to use the gadgets in this game, you can be a demon. Like I would farm people with just the gadgets.
Similarity to Siege is the fact that mechanical
In this
skill
game.
isn't everything. A player with fast reaction times, quick target acquisition, and a strong recoil control can dominate just about any first-person shooter. In games like Call of Duty, these players can become extremely oppressive. In Siege, however, and a player who lacks the mechanical skills can make up for it with a bit of thinking outside the box.
Facts.
A Kapkan trap in an unusual spot, a murder hole in an unexpected area, a well-timed fuse charge. There are numerous ways to outsmart better players. In the finals, an AIM Labs trained
Nah, you the better player. Come on.
Across the map, but if you can skirt the obvious sight lines and get close using the cloak ability of the light, you can get a cheeky backstab in. If a sniper on a crane is keeping you locked in place, a well-placed RPG from a heavy can not only dislodge the sniper, but completely destroy the high ground advantage for the rest of the match. I've been on teams that were objectively worse than our opponents, and yet we still managed to win thanks to some coordination, smart thinking, and a bit of luck. All of this is to say that the reasons why I love Siege...
I don't know whose teammates he's talking about, bro. My teammates can't even fucking shoot a gun, bro. How are they gonna coordinate?
so much, and why I currently have so much fun with the finals is primarily the variety they offer. Another game that I have way too many hours in is Counter-Strike. I primarily played Counter-Strike between 2015
Yeah, I could never get into CSGO.
Playing solely ranked modes with
all right,
and I owe a lot of good times to it. Many friends today came into my life during that period directly as a result of CSGO. I don't enjoy CS anymore, however. CS, in its current form, is an esports game through and through. Every element of it is designed
esports, yuck!
We can argue about how good it may or may not be overall, as I know CS2 has issues, but just about every change made to CS is for competitive viability.
Yeah, I hate when games do that.
A very distinctive pattern, usually 3 lanes, 2 bomb sites, and 1 or 2 bridges between the lanes.
It makes them so linear and boring.
Low contact areas. The time it takes to run from a spawn to a bomb site is carefully calculated by the map designers to ensure fights are likely to happen at the best points suited for them. The weapon meta and the in-game economy means that strategies can often become quite rigid. You can almost predict what weapons you'll be seeing most often by a certain round. If you play
I hate that. That's how Valorant is.
You'll probably be hard pressed to remember more than a handful that stand out for one reason or another. I know that's how I feel. Games that I still remember were usually on the more unbalanced, less competitively viable maps like Assault or Militia, back when CSGO offered these in the competitive map pool. The fact that these maps had less established metas or strategies meant that they felt fresh and different. Compare this to the finals, where the flow of maps is primarily determined by the density of buildings and the placement of traversal tools like jump pads or zip lines. You can load up the Monaco map and run from one side to the other in about a dozen different ways. More than that, the light and medium class have abilities and gadgets that let you circumvent any barriers to progression on the maps, not to mention destruction that lets you plow right through those buildings. I'm not saying that games shouldn't embrace competition. If it weren't for competition, there'd be very little satisfaction to be found in winning. But for me personally, I feel that rounding out the edges of a game to make it more competitive makes a game more sterile and more boring. As I've gotten...
Yeah, so many games do that, and I don't know why. Like, Valorant and like CSGO and League are obviously like that. They were always going to be competitive. Like that's how it was. But there's like games like I'm trying to think of a good example like right now. But like there's just a lot of games that are casual or just like like just a game, and then they like really hyper focus on the competitive and get rid of a lot of the content and get rid of a lot of the ways you can play the game because it's unfair. But it's like Marvel Rivals, for example, like every character feels super overpowered, yet everything's fair because it is overpowered. Like I wish there were more games like that, because like I want to play a game. I don't want to go and like work a 9 to 5 on CSGO. Like I'm sorry, I don't.
Older, I've had less time to devote to getting good at games. I've become a strictly casual player, usually just ignoring ranked modes entirely. I don't think this is a bad thing, but
I still play ranked.
Why those games I used to love have stopped appealing to me.
I'm a weirdo.
I enjoy the finals so much. The finals does have a competitive scene, but I'd be lying if I said I know what the general consensus of competitive players is. I actively go out of my way to avoid discussions or videos about what weapons are meta, what loadouts are meta, or what's the best team composition. It's a cliche at this stage to quote Soren Johnson, but his famous line really is applicable to just about any game. When given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of a game. It's almost a subconscious action too. If I know that weapon X...
If you want to see that, go look up a YouTube video or go on a Twitch stream of someone playing an MMO. Every MMO player, as long as they're like experienced or higher, that's all they freaking do is metagame. And like obviously every game has metagaming, but I'm just saying like MMOs are like the biggest, like RPGs I guess too, are like the biggest like culprit for that.
Has the best DPS, the best damage fall off, and the most controllable recoil. It's always going to be in my head that if I want to win and have fun, I should pick that over weapon Y or Z.
Yeah, I hate that.
Not knowing what the meta weapons are at a given moment in the finals is like living in blissful ignorance. I don't care if the Heavy's grenade launcher is a bad weapon. It's fun to mortar strike a power shield platform. I don't know if the XP54 is better than the M11 on paper, but I like the handling of the M11 more. The FCAR might melt enemies quicker, but I have a cool skin and animation for the AKM, so I'll use that. I'm not a game developer.
I'm gonna be honest, I think the finals, like with the way the guns are, I think they specialize enough in different ways where there isn't like really like a super like the meta doesn't give you a super high advantage, it just gives you a slight advantage, because the AK, for example, does more damage, but the FCAR, LCAR, whatever the fuck it's called, has like a faster fire rate. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But like, when games do that, I prefer that.
Service games
when things just specialize,
seeing how they change, it feels more and more like developers and communities want a game to either be for the casual or the competitive audience, and that anything in the middle is half-baked, not worth the effort. I don't think it's true. While CS and Siege both have a strong, vocal, competitive community, CS has a rich history of community-made casual game modes like Gun Game, Surf, Zombie Escape, and more, even if Valve wants to ignore them. Siege, meanwhile, constantly gets community events added to the game, such as Golden Gun or the Halloween game modes. The developers obviously see there being an audience for these more casual experiences, and I believe that's why these games have stuck around. You need both communities. The casuals to keep the game relevant and alive, and the competitive players who might draw in more players and help guide balancing where necessary. As a casual player, I'm happy with the current state of the finals. As of October 2024, they've just dropped Season 4 and it's been a blast so far. They're undoing the non-stop nerfs that they've inflicted upon several weapons, and
that's
are now looking like they want to approach balance by buffing weapons instead. A unique approach for a modern PvP developer, it seems. Modern Warfare 2 in 2009 got this right. If every weapon is OP, then no weapon is OP. It's a design.
I literally told you guys. See, that's how it should be.
An approach that I think makes the most people happy. Well, I don't think the balancing is spot on just yet, and it may never be. It's certainly in a good place. They introduced 3 new weapons, one for each class, a new map, and general bug fixes. This free-to-play game currently offers the most varied and, in my opinion, fun experience in a PvP FPS game right now.
It's definitely one of them.
Predatory microtransactions, no pay-to-win skins, no loot boxes, and no subscription services. I'm looking at Siege. It's nice to just play a game that isn't solely interested in generating the most amount of engagement or money from me. It just wants to offer a fun experience first and foremost. Here's how you can find the most fun in this game as a casual player. First, just know that solo play is a form of punishment reserved for masochists. Playing with friends, especially ones already accustomed to the game, will help, but some games are just determined from the moment you and your teammates
just every game ever, basically.
Avoid terminal attacks and ranked game modes in general. The biggest issue right now is that if someone leaves your team, you're stuck in the match with a significant disadvantage. And more often than not, people will leave, as the punishment for doing so is minor.
Yeah, I hate that games don't just give you a bot. Like, either give me a bot until this person rejoins if they're going to, or just replace them. Like, it's not that hard.
I prefer to play Power Shift, so much so that it's basically all I play now. This game mode allows you to change your loadout at any moment, swap your class, and it increases the team size from 3 to 5, which gives you breathing room to experiment more. It also offers more chances at revives and less frustration. Playing solo or non-competitively doesn't mean that you shouldn't try, however. The most fun I've had comes from trying to be a one-man army. Pick heavy and do your best to lock down the platform with shields and heavy weapons, or try being a pocket medic medium with a grenade launcher. Light rewards the most mechanical skill in my opinion and has a good variety of weapons. The fact that you can change your loadout at any point means if something isn't working, don't feel like you're stuck. Swap around and experiment. It's what makes the game so fun.
That was a good video, chat. Anyways, remember to like and subscribe and comment below. Tell me what you guys thought about this video. And, you know, like, do you guys think that, you know, he was right about casual and ranked, and, like, you know, even what I said about competitive games and how, like, people seem to be focusing more on the competitive and esports side. And also, make sure you subscribe to this guy, dude. He makes good content. You know, he's only got 12 subscribers. Like, you know, it was a good video. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Peace.